Welcome everybody to Facebook Wednesdays Live, the not so live version. Because of load shedding and technical difficulties, we'll be pre-recording the sessions today. And because before we get to the business of the day, sorry, I am Gray, online content creator at Mbogodo Publishers. And today we've got the lovely Jabulile Sibiya. She'll be giving us some perspective from a reader's point of view. And once again, this platform is for you guys, you readers, you authors, upcoming authors, established authors. This is for you. All right. First question that we've got for you, Jabulile, is tell us, who are you?
Okay, my name is Jabulile Sibiya, but I go by Jabi, a name I picked up in high school, and it was a really unfortunate, event that led to that, but it stuck, and it's the name I go by now. And currently, I'm 29, and that's about it.
Lovely. Next, where are you from?
Yeah. I'm from a beautiful township called Nas. The reason why I'm saying it's beautiful is because it's like a country on its own. And I absolutely love growing up there. It's complicated. It's everything rolled into one, and I really loved growing up there. And for school, I actually went to Komati Buert Academy, which is the town next door. And then after that, went to the high school. And then after that, I went and studied at the University of the Free State, and I did my accounting degree there. And then after that, I stayed in Nelspruit for a while I worked, and then I stayed at home for a while, and then now I'm based in Randburg. So that's basically my geographical journey.
Lovely, what a journey. So let's get to books. What did inspire your interest in books?
Well, I've always been a reader since school because I grew up quite introverted. I mean, I believe that I'm still like that now. I think the only difference is that now I kind of know what my interests are versus then you growing up, so you're kind of trying things, And honestly, I think reading was inspired by my language teachers. They would always let me read in class. So whenever we're doing a book of some sort, I would be always volunteering to read, and they would always encourage me. So I kind of learned to read on my own from there. And then I would say life got in the way because obviously with, trying to get your university degree and stuff like that, time can kind of be an obstacle. And then I would say that when I started working, I picked up books again because I just love adding to my knowledge. I really feel suffocated by the inability to learn new things. And I feel like books we grew up with them being, a really reliable source, etc. So as of late, I am reading way more, but they are mostly based on self-help, adulting, and financial books. So those are the kind of categories I'm into. But I did read non-fictional books before because I believe that I do have quite, an imagination. So I really loved immersing myself in those types of stories before. So that's basically my interest in books.
Just to backtrack a bit there, what is your profession?
Well, I studied accounting in university, and then I did 3 years of articles, and I found it really, really frustrating. And I guess it is more of a before and after in terms of what you thought something was and how it was actually. And to be honest, I feel like more people should talk about that because sometimes you go into one profession thinking that this is the list of activities you're going to be doing. And then when you get there, it's like, you're not even doing half of the things you thought you were going to be doing. You're dealing with politics all the time. And then you find that you're not even like that type of a person, etc. So that was really frustrating. Then after I actually became a language teacher for a little while, I had a blast doing that because I felt like the last good memory I had, before the whole accounting vibe happened, was with my language teachers. And I really enjoyed imparting that knowledge to my students. So yeah, I did that for about, I would say 2.5 years, but it was going to be 3 if the COVID thing hadn't happened. And then when COVID did hit, I had to leave my job. And then I actually continued teaching privately, which I also enjoyed. But I don't know if my students would say that I'm an awesome teacher, even though their marks kept improving, which means that I am. But I'm just very specific about things, and I like things done a certain way. And I wanted people to come to me if they were serious about learning something, which is why I say that I have that kind of like growth in learning need. I have to keep pushing the boundaries, because yeah, exactly.
Staying the same one is in books.
Yeah, like I feel like that's where things start taking movement. Otherwise you find yourself doing the same thing over and over again, and at some point the fuel for that will run out, and then what's left, you start questioning the existence of things, and I don't like that. So the best thing to do is to always push yourself. So that's basically what I did for a little while. And now I'm actually trying to get myself certified to be a life coach, because I'm trying to mix my two worlds together, like my love for teaching.
We're really going to be expecting a book from you soon.
Yes, very soon actually, because I've already worked on some ebooks already. So yeah, that's definitely going to be a thing that will pursue.
When would you say you started really reading a book, a memorable book that you can even mention now that you remember?
I think the most memorable book, and the reason why even my family members started giving me book gifts, is definitely this book called The Firm by John Grisham. Excuse me. That book is fictional, right? But it was like about this guy who becomes a lawyer and then gets an unusually large offer from one of the firms, and then he moves there, and everything looks above board, only to find out that they work for like a mob family or mob business or whatever. And it's and he can't get out, and he had his wife and all these other things. That book, like, I was literally, when I woke up, it was like in my face while I was eating breakfast, like immersed in the story. And then I found out later on that they actually made a movie about it, and I never got to watch the movie because back then I didn't have access, but now it's on Netflix. And I watched it, I think late last year, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is such, it's just like the book, So John Grisham actually became one of my favorite authors because he's so detailed in the way he writes.
If there was a movie and the book, which would you go for first?
I'm glad that I read the book first, because if I saw the movie title, I probably wouldn't have been drawn to it, because I'm just a picky movie watcher, I guess. But because I read the book first, that was awesome. So definitely book. I feel like more people should read the book before they watch the movie. I know some people are movie people, but I don't know. I just feel like the authors, not that there's something wrong with the directors, but the authors are just way more imaginative, in my opinion. So exactly. So yeah. And then the other book that also changed my life is definitely The 5 a.m. Club. I read that one last year. And last year in October. And it completely transformed how I look at productivity, how I look at myself, self-worth. Self-worth is like a topic we don't talk about. And I'm sorry to say this, but as Black people, we don't talk about it. But it is so important to keep feeding it. Otherwise, we live our whole lives not knowing that we lack in one way or the other, and we constantly need validation from people or from society or whatever. So that book changed my life. I mean, even today, I still wake up at 5 a.m. because I realized that it's just better for my soul, better for my mood also. And, you know, you just get more done in a day than versus if you kind of like started your day later. So I would say those are the best two from each category.
So interesting for you to mention, just to track off a bit. It is so that in the Black community, unfortunately, our lives are more role play based than what your purpose is. On to the next question. On to the next question. Are you a part of any community of readers?
Well, last year in October, when we started the 5 a.m. club, that's actually when I was looking, I was looking for a book club around July because I realized I want to get back into my love of reading, etc. But I couldn't find any book club that was not based in the US. And I was like, okay, why is this happening? Because, you know, I thought people would be readers more because of this whole COVID thing, blah, blah, blah. But I couldn't find anything online. And I wanted a group of people that maybe I already knew. And then there was this girl that I went to varsity with, and she kept posting about her books on Instagram. And basically she had won like a bunch of giveaways, and she kept doing these book flat lays and all these things. And then I was like, are you reading? You know, have you joined a book club? Like, how come is it that you have so many books and all these other things? And it turns out that she would also love a book club because she has all these books, but she hasn't made time to read them yet. Or yeah, I'm paraphrasing now, but that's what basically happened. And then I was like, why don't we just start a book club? You know what I mean? Because at the time I was of the opinion, like it was right after I had to leave my teaching job. And I started to realize that whatever is not there, it's within my power to create it, because I was just so sick and tired of having to wait for someone to come up with the idea to do something that would fit what I would want to see, if that makes sense. Same with life coaching. I mean, I didn't know about it until last year, and I realized, oh my gosh, this is something that I think I would enjoy. So I reached out to her and I was like, you know, the whole story. And then I was like, let's start one, you know? And then we started on Instagram, you know, posted some books that we both were interested in. And we're like, you know what, we already have books, so let's start with the books we have before we buy other books, etc. And then we ended up settling on starting with the 5 a.m. club, which was last year in October. And we had a blast. Like, we learned that book changed my life. Like, I'm telling you, everyone should read it, especially if you struggle with productivity, self-worth, self-identity, even anxiety. I feel like people have that. They don't talk about it, but they have it. You know, like that sense of like, how can I make my life make sense to me? Yeah, so that's the community. So our book club is called Blossom and Zeal. So those are two kind of like adjectives that kind of describe us both. So that's how we came up with the name. And we've been doing that this is our 5th month. So we are reading our 5th book this month. So we read 1 book a month because, you know, most of us have like jobs. So we, you know, we take into account that you can't sit down and read a book for 1 week. So we read per month, and we keep accountability of each other, etc., etc. So that has been a dream come true for me, not just for being part of the foundation of it, but actually building a community that I would have wanted. And yeah, so I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited about it. So yeah.
So you've already mentioned a few benefits, but let me direct that question to you once again. What are the benefits that you've had of that community that is this book club that you created with a varsity friend?
I think, well, the biggest lesson slash benefit actually came recently. Like we read The Moment of Lift. I actually have it here, and it's this book by Melinda Gates. The reason why this book kind of picked us, but also taught us a really valuable lesson, is that in order to understand somebody else, you have to kind of walk a mile in their shoes. And it's lots of stories that she told in the book are based on her foundation, or her and Bill's foundation, not being based on a foundation that just gives money away, but they actually go to those communities, even if they stay for like 2 days, but they go and actually interact with the people that, you know, are benefiting from the fund or whatever. And so that they can see what is the problem exactly, and does our contributions help? And that's what we kind of realized in our club. Like the first time when we started, we were just choosing books that meant a lot to us, you know, like something that we would want someone to recommend to us. And that went great for a while. But right now we want to be more involved in, you know, our community's lives and their needs, and actually trying to curate books that way. You know what I mean? Because what I necessarily want to read might not be what somebody else wants, even though the books that we did select were highly recommended and most people were like, you know, can we start reading this book, etc. But we want to kind of bring everyone in to be part of the decision-making process. So that part, it really like pushed me out of my comfort zone. Like I generally, I'm afraid to talk to people, especially new people. It's nothing against them, it's my own thing, you know, like it's kind of hard for me to leave my space of comfort and actually ask someone, hey, what would you like, you know what I mean? But that's growth for us. And I think that's the biggest thing that we've experienced being part of the club, both of us actually, was that we are growing at an exponential rate. Like we are suddenly aware of certain researches that were done and certain things and how they connect together. So we were actually talking about that in our last live, and we're like, you know, had we not read this book, we wouldn't have known about this, and this. You know what I mean? So that growth of it was really unexpected. I mean, I did expect it, but the rate that it's going was really unexpected, and I really love that. And I also think that it gives us the chance to also be creatives, because we run the Instagram page together, and oh my gosh, it's a lot of work. It's such a lot of work. And people don't notice that. They're just like, wow, that's such a pretty post, or that's like such a great, you know, video or whatever, or Instagram live. It's hard. It takes a lot of coordination. It takes a lot of, you know, follow-ups, and it takes a lot of making sure nothing goes wrong, and the technical aspect of it. And, you know, and I'm sure you can relate, because honestly, there's a lot.
I can totally relate.
Exactly. So those are the things that people don't see, and the hours that go into coming up with new ideas and, you know, planning, you know, the year in advance, and all these things are things that I'm not used to. Even though I come from a corporate background, I feel like then things were easier. You had a larger team, you had someone who did the work before, etc. But we are creating our own blueprint. Like there's no one you can look to be like, hey, how do you do this? You need to figure it out on your own. And people don't understand how insane that is, you know? So, you know, we know what we're getting out of it, or / learning. So that's what makes it a really good benefit.
I'm going to ask you an age-old question. It's debatable, but today we want to hear your opinion. Is print dead? You did mention some e-books today. We're always on our phones lately, on our tablets. Is print dead? Is print dying?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I feel like I've watched many debates about this topic. And even with when I was still a teacher, I was teaching high school. So that is a topic that came up a lot in the essay part of the questions. The kids believe that yes, it is, because not that they are lazy, but they are less likely to open up a textbook, which is something I couldn't stand. My textbook when I was younger was my best friend. That's where all the answers were. And I mean, you know, I protected it with my life. Versus kids today, I'll be asking something that's in the page, like on the page in front of them, and they wouldn't think to be like, wow, let me read this because my answer's here. I can't stand that. Because I just feel like it makes them lazy. And I didn't allow cell phones in my class, except if we did an exercise that required them. So they preferred Googling it rather than finding it in a book. So from that perspective, I do believe that Gen Z is growing up in a time where it is dead. However, millennials, or the millennials that I know, are still into print. I mean, I was at Bargain Books, I believe, the other day. Yes, it was a bit empty because of COVID generally, but I was there for hours. Like, I didn't even know what I was looking for, and I walked away with like 2 books that were on sale. If I don't go to a bookstore, I feel empty inside. That's just me. I don't know other people. I don't know, but I would rather pick up a book than get an ebook, book-wise. You know what I mean? There are people in our book club that preferred, you know, that Kindle device thingy, or that preferred downloading the ebook version. Totally up to them. But I feel like I'm one of those old school people. Same with my friend. We gotta get our hands on a printed book. Actually, yeah, I prefer that. I don't know about other people, but I do see that generation coming up behind us that they are not into that at all, which is hard for me to accept. Like, how am I gonna raise my kids? Like, it brings up a lot of questions, you know what I mean? But I feel like personally,
from another side, my daughter loves books. I think there will always be a place for books.
Really?
Always be a place for books in life. Books are like photographs.
Oh, that's like a relief. Okay, because I was just like, what am I gonna do? So yeah, I would always advocate for books wherever I can, definitely. And I feel like I really, really wish that it doesn't come to a point where books are obsolete or where bookstores are not required. I really hope we won't get there. But yeah, I still believe that print is important.
Lovely. And there you have it. I'll leave you with these thoughts. Books don't have a battery life. Books don't need to be updated. Yeah. You might just need a book with load trading schedules that are coming up. Thank you so much, Ms. Jabulile Sibiya, for joining us today. I hope that we've given you some cool perspective.
Thank you for having me.
A reader's point of view. Thank you, Ms. Jabulile. Yeah. Please join us next time for Facebook Lives. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. Goodbye.
Bye.